Hey everyone, welcome to The Creek. My name is Jared Miller and I'm the ministry lead here. This is my basement. This is where I come to relax. It's where I watch TV and it's where I've seen some of the greatest shows that have ever been made. This is the space where I watched Westworld, Game of Thrones, and The Wire for the first time. It's been said that we live in the golden age of television, and I can't help but feel like that's true. But this is not the first time that slick marketers or shrewd advertisers have tried to tell us that the TV that we watch is better now than it's ever been before. In fact, there was a time in the 90s that the National Broadcasting Corporation told us that the slate of programming that they would put on Thursday afternoons or Thursday evenings was not only good, but was imperative. They called their slate of Thursday evenings must-see TV. And it featured some of the greatest sitcoms and some of the greatest shows that have ever been made. To this day, the streaming rights for Friends continue to be worth billions of dollars to streaming services and different platforms. But good and obligatory don't mean the same thing. There are plenty of shows that are good and entertaining, and ultimately those are qualifications that are going to be subjective. What I find funny is not going to be what you find funny. And so I want to dig into this idea of must-see TV, or particularly the idea of TV that is essential. But TV plays a unique role in our society. TV has a capacity to make people think about things without actually actively thinking about them. I think that there is actually TV that is must-see. And I'm using must in the clearest classical philosophical idea. Must implies a duty. For something to be a must-do, it is something that is not only objectively and a priori a good thing, that is something that is good in and of itself. If every time you face yourself in a situation you acted in the exact same way, these would still continue to be moral, ethical, must-see shows. So what I want to try to do today is apply Kantian ethical philosophy to two TV shows that I think bear the standard. These are must-see TV. The first show I want to tell you about is one that you've probably already seen it's been out for a number of years. But it's a show that I continue to want to watch and rewatch because every time I see it, I'm reminded of the great line from the Russian novelist Alexander Solzhenitsyn, that the line between good and evil is run down the center of every human heart. The show Breaking Bad takes place in the New Mexico city of Albuquerque and features an everyday normal chemistry teacher named Walter White who one day goes to the doctor and receives a diagnosis. He has lung cancer. He has days, weeks, probably maybe just months to live. And then he's told that his insurance company is not only not going to pay for his treatment, but that he is going to have nothing left for his family. Walter White, out of desperation, turns to a former student of his who is a drug dealer and begins to learn the trade and skill of developing methamphetamines that he can sell on the street. It sounds like a weird premise for a TV show that is fundamentally essential. But what's interesting is that through the first seasons, this character starts off as sympathetic, as somebody that everybody can relate to, and who seems genuinely interested in doing the right thing for his family. But by the time the final season wraps up, you actively find yourself rooting for cancer. What this show does really well, what makes it such a compelling and such an obligatory show, there's never a moment where Walter White decides to start being evil. Even the people that he harms, even the people that he actively kills throughout the run of the series are simply one choice made because another choice has been made. They are consequences rather than consequential. And though different scholars and different critics of TV have tried to pinpoint the moment where Walter White goes from being a protagonist to an antagonist, the fundamental message of the show is that the life you live is a series of choices that you make along the way. How you choose to act in the here and the now will affect the choices that you have in the next phase of your life. And the choices that you make then will apply to the time after that and after that and after that. That we live in this kind of cyclical environment that says that our choices not only affect us, but actually impact and affect the world around us. The spiritual thinker and writer Richard Rohr says that we don't think ourselves into a new way of living, but we live ourselves into a new way of thinking. One of the fundamental ideas here at the Creek is that we are not brains on sticks. I've said this before, I'll say this again. We are fundamentally people who are driven by our passions, our desires, and our view of the good life. And so for Walter White, for the show Breaking Bad, it shines a unique, brilliant, and crystal clear light on not only our human condition, but on the identity that we all strive to undertake. Walter White says at one point in the show that he is in the empire building business. And the moment that he begins to name and articulate that reality, he begins to understand and live into a new vision of the world around him. One where he is not only father, husband, friend, but that he is emperor. That he is in charge and that he has a duty to himself to carry out his mission in the world. Breaking Bad does a better job of articulating and understanding the complex natures of the human condition better than any other show that has ever been written. The other show I want to tell you about is one that is in a completely different genre, where Breaking Bad is heavy, thematic, and serious. The Good Place is lighthearted, high energy, and fun. Even in dealing with complex themes of morality, of good and evil, of eschatology, of heaven and hell, The Good Place manages to walk a line that constantly makes you not only endeared to its characters, but enthralled with the story it lays out. The Good Place follows a series of characters, particularly centered on Kristen Bell's character, that find themselves waking up one day in what they're told is heaven or the good place. And the implication is that, of course, then, because it's the good place and not just heaven, that there is a bad place. What we learn early on is that Eleanor, Kristen Bell's character, knows beyond a shadow of a doubt that she does not belong in the good place, that she has not lived a good life, that she has found her way into this place by some kind of clerical error, that her name simply is identical to another Eleanor who died at the exact same moment she did. The comedy ramps up around this fish out of water kind of premises, but then takes a sharp left turn when you realize, and spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen the first season of The Good Place, that they were never in the good place all along. That this was a grand experiment to identify and torture these individual souls in a unique and in a creative way. The rest of the series beyond the first season embarks on this team of characters exploring not only the makeup of the universe and the morality system that seems to be baked into it, but asking themselves the question of whether or not anybody can make it into the good place or not, whether or not the rules have been laid so stringently in a complex society that it is and has become utterly impossible for anybody to make it into the good place at all. They find the divine source of accounting at one point actually articulates that it has become so complicated in our world to actually identify and do good that not a single person has made it into the good place in centuries. This is, of course, a unique and a comedic view of the afterlife and of eschatology, and asks all kinds of questions about whether or not our system that we've defined morality around can change, or whether or not it's inextricably baked into society. But what is foundational, what is absolutely fundamental to this story, is that it does a better job of articulating what Christian theology has always taught than most sermons could ever dream of doing. Fundamental to the Christian story is the idea that no one can make it into the world, into the good place. Not just because our world has become complicated and the idea of morality has become messy and interrelated to a million other things that compete for and draw on its attention, but because that's not how our hearts work. Fundamental to the Christian story is the idea that we are people who are self-interested, that our world is self-interested, that our societies are set up to be self-interested, and that our application of morality and ethics in a complicated, self-interested society, even where they bear out altruism, find themselves in a situation that says, the moment my self-interest becomes violated will be the moment that I no longer find myself being altruistic. I'm not going to deign to settle the debate on the existence of altruism on this channel here. That's not the goal of this. The goal is simply to identify that the truth that the good place steps into in a bold and a creative way. By recognizing and challenging our assumption that everybody is already good and is going to go to the good place, they shine a unique light and ask a question that has not been asked in modern television to my knowledge. What does it mean to be good? What does it mean to be good enough? The fundamental question of humankind, of human nature, and of humanity is to ask, understand, and ascertain the answer to that question. Which is what we've been talking about for the last couple minutes. We live in a society that assumes that there are some things that must be done. We live in a society that assumes a level of, at least of some degree of duty, where we and you and I together live in a shared a priori sense of reality, where you and I together find ourselves with a duty that's shared. But for you, what shows would you say are must-watches? What shows, if you fell into them over and over again, would continually and constantly be teaching you the truth of the world around us? Let me know in the comments down below which videos you think would be must-see TV. Make sure you subscribe and follow us on social media to get all of our information as well, and we'll see you next time. Take care of yourself for now. Bye.